Good day, everyone. Happy Sunday. It is the 30th of June. It is the last day of June, and today we celebrate the 13th Sunday in Ordinary or Counted Time. So today I'm just going to read from our Gospel. It comes from St. Mark, chapter 5, beginning with verse 21. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he stayed close to the sea. One of the synagogue officials named Jairus came forward. Seeing him, he fell at his feet, pleaded earnestly with him, saying, "My daughter is at the point of death. Please come lay your hands on her, that she may get well and live." He went off with him, and a large crowd followed him and pressed upon him. There was a woman afflicted with hemorrhages for 12 years. She had suffered greatly at the hands of many doctors and had spent all that she had. Yet she was not helped, but only grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. She said, "If I but touch his clothes, I shall be cured." Immediately her flow of blood dried up. She felt in her body that she was healed of her affliction. Jesus, aware at once that power had gone out from him, turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who has touched my clothes?" But his disciples said to Jesus, "You see how the crowd is pressing upon you, and yet you ask, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. The woman, realizing what had happened to her, approached in fear and trembling. She fell down before Jesus and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has saved you. Go in peace and be cured of your affliction." While he was still speaking, people from the synagogue official's house arrived and said, "Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?" Disregarding the message that was reported, Jesus said to the synagogue official, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." He did not allow anyone to accompany him inside except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. And when they arrived at the house of the synagogue official, he caught sight of a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. So he went in and said to them, "Why this commotion and weeping? The child's not dead, but asleep." And they ridiculed him. Then he put them all out. He then took along the child's father and mother and those who were with him and entered the room where the child was. He took the child by hand and said to her, "Talitha cum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." The girl, a child of 12, arose immediately and walked around. At that they were utterly astounded. He gave strict orders that no one should know this, and said that she should be given something to eat. Well, today's gospel account proclaims two connected miracle stories, one embedded in the other. The story that bookends the account is the healing of Jairus' daughter. A synagogue official, such as Jairus, would be a man of wealth who supported the synagogue. He was therefore a man of prominence and stature. This man of wealth and prominence had a serious problem. His daughter had a terminal illness and was in fact close to death. It is difficult to imagine the agony he and the child's mother must have been going through. He could have been filled with anger or despair. But Jairus' response was neither. Instead, it is one of humility and faith before the Lord. St. Mark writes that seeing Jesus, Jairus fell at his feet and pleaded earnestly with him, saying, "Please come lay your hands on her, that she may get well and live." Jairus recognized that Jesus had greater stature and authority than he had. He also believed that Jesus could heal his daughter and restore her to life. Then Mark interrupts the conclusion of the story of Jairus with another episode. In this account, we have a woman who encounters Jesus, who's been suffering from a hemorrhaging illness for 12 years and has spent all her money seeking help. Mark tells us this woman came to Jesus and touched his cloak, believing that if she did so, she would be healed. Typically, if an unclean person, such as the woman, touched someone else, the other person would then become unclean as well. But interestingly, this woman believed the opposite would happen. She believed that Jesus' holiness would make her pure and heal her. This indeed is what happened. She was made pure and healed by Jesus' touch because of her faith. When questioned about the encounter, like Jairus, she simply fell in humility before Jesus. So in today's gospel, Mark is demonstrating how we are to approach Jesus with our prayers and petitions, whether the petitions are for ourselves or for our loved ones, whether we are the people of wealth and prestige, or most inconsequential, seemingly invisible people in the world. Doesn't matter what category we fall into. We are to come to Christ simply with faith and humility. And how can we come to have a kind of faith that Jairus and this woman had in Jesus? They seemed so confident that Jesus could and would do what they asked as they needed. Such faith, such confidence in the Lord. That, of course, takes a lot of practice in our daily life, and certainly asking for God's grace to help us as well. Sunday, so make sure you get some rest, family time. Hopefully, you get to church as well. And let's continue to praise the Lord, give glory to his name, and also thank him for all the many benefits and blessings that we receive each day. God bless you. Take care now. Have a great day, everyone.